This is the first video in a series of videos on best practice in safety shower and eye wash deployment in the workplace. And in this first video, we're going to define what safety showers actually do from a business perspective. Now, on one level, it may seem fairly obvious what a safety shower does. It's a bit of emergency equipment that washes away contaminants from a person should they be splashed with something like an acid or an alkali, and they're protecting that person against injury. But from a business point of view, what do they actually do? The first thing to remember is that safety showers and eye washes do not reduce the risk of an accident occurring. By definition, they're used after an accident has already occurred. They're not going to reduce your risk of accidents actually occurring, but they are bits of kit that are risk reduction equipment. They reduce a risk to the business. And this is very important because once we start looking at them in terms of the risk that they actually protect the business against, we can start actually putting a value on them. What risk do they actually protect against? Well, they don't protect against the risk of an accident occurring, as we already mentioned. What they do protect against is a risk of litigation, and they do this in a couple of key ways. Firstly, every business is required by health and safety legislation in the UK and in most other countries to provide adequate and sufficient first aid equipment consummate to any risks that may occur in the workplace. And having a safety shower is meeting those obligations. Without the safety shower, you're not meeting those obligations, and so the company is wide open to litigation should an injury occur, because the argument would be, well, this injury occurred in the workplace and sufficient first aid equipment was not available, and therefore the employer is liable for any damages that result from that injury, or in the worst case, from death. And that cost of litigation, should that occur, can be very, very high. In the second case, and similarly, should an accident occur, they actually reduce the harm caused by that accident by providing adequate first aid, and so the injuries that will occur from an accident are going to be far less severe, and thus that reduces any kind of litigation risk as well. What about insurance? Surely employer liability insurance will protect against that risk of litigation. Well, no, they won't necessarily, because any insurance policy is going to be, again, contingent on the employer meeting its legislative requirements, and so will be contingent on first aid equipment being present. So if that first aid equipment that is required is not present in the workplace, i.e. you don't have a shower when there's a risk of an acid or an alkali accident occurring, if you don't have that shower, then it's likely to invalidate your employer liability insurance as well. We can see the presence of showers actually mitigates against a whole range of risks to the business, and once we start understanding them as a piece of risk reduction equipment, we can now actually start to put some figures on that, because we can look at the cost of that risk, the likelihood of those risks occurring, and we're certainly going to look at those calculations in another video in this series. We're also going to look at the various features, the various benefits, the various add-ons to showers, and some of the other things we need to consider when deploying showers, and we'll look at that in the context of risk reduction, and we can start to see how those features and benefits and bells and whistles that you can kind of add on to showers help reduce that risk even further.